Thank you. Welcome back to Morning Live and to our special broadcast as we celebrate the winners of the 14th Annual South Africa Sports Awards that were announced last night. On stage with me, I've got Zweletu Chabalala, who is the coach of the KZN Koko team. That team won the Indigenous Games Team of the Year award. We've got Kate Nokwe. She didn't win an award last night, but she was instrumental in making sure that somebody did win an award. Kate Nokwe is a South African sport journalist, and she's the only female that's on the South African Sports Journalist panel, which chooses the South African Sports Star. And then we've got Mervyn Moy, who is the Volunteer of the Year. Congratulations to the both of you.
Thank you, Valen.
Mervyn, I'm going to start with you. What does this award mean for you?
Valen, this award actually is a confirmation to me that I have been doing the right things over many years in terms of volunteering. And in the African context, especially in South Africa, with all the adversities we face, volunteering has become so important where, as I said before, you don't have to wait for funding, structures, organization, processes, etc. We are all creative enough to do a lot in our communities without having to wait for all these constraints.
This isn't your first award, though. Your program, In Touch Community Support Group, actually won the Recreation Body of the Year back in 2017.
Correct.
And you're just keeping up the good work, but I'm sure it doesn't come without some challenges.
Lots of challenges, as would be expected, but we don't consider challenges as problems. We see it as opportunities, and if you can change the mindset to realize that, you'll get ahead with anything.
Zweletu, congratulations to you and your team. But you lead a group of girls who are twice now champions, gold medal winners at the National Indigenous Games competition. But for many people, Koko is not something that they're used to. It's not quite rugby or football that they've all been exposed to. What is Koko?
Koko game is a game that has been adopted from India. Koko it's being played by 9 teams per side, and it's like a cat and a mouse chasing game. Whoever player being touched in a field of play, only 3 players allowed to play on a field. So whoever being touched, being chased by the team opponent, and have to go out, and the next player have to come in.
And they're very competitive. I'd actually just like the captain of the team, of the KZN Koko team, just to stand up, because she is Tembelihle Mngadi. She's been playing the game for 6 years. Just stand up so everybody can see you. Let's give her a round of applause. She leads this great team. Not only have they won the national title in this game at the Indigenous Games Festival, but they also won KZN Team of the Year, which is quite impressive for an Indigenous Games team. How important is it that we have something like the Indigenous Games Festival and that we've got structures that actually support Indigenous Games?
It's very important, because if you can see, Indigenous game, it's a code, or if I may say, it's a sport. Many people who doesn't understand or not more informed about it. So whatever we're trying now is that to bring more to people and people to know it, because it's more based in rural areas. So it's a very good thing now that sports and recreation or the minister are trying to recognize our sporting code. So we are very pleased about everything that they are doing, and saying we're happy about that.
The South Africa Sports Awards have been going for many years, and it was in 2015 that the awards started having 2 major awards on the evening, the People's Choice Award and the Sports Star. People's Choice, that's up to South Africa to decide who walks away with that accolade. But the other award for SA Sports Star is decided by the country's top journalists. So Kate, you are the only lady on that panel. And they were all women, the first time ever that we've had 3 women nominees for this award.
I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with that. But they picked themselves. I mean, that was obviously the first thing that we realized the minute we're like, okay, this is our top 3. We're like, oh, it's all girls. It was Temi Kgatlana, Carla Pretorius, as well as the eventual winner, Tatiana Schoenmaker. Their achievement this past season, you know, they put themselves on there. It was as easy as that, because obviously we started with about 16 names. Each panelist had a number of players that they thought should be nominated. We started up with something like 30 names, went down to 16,
wow,
went down to 10, went down to 5, went down to the eventual 3 and the winner, obviously.
Okay, I mean, how much discussion actually goes into breaking it down from 30 all the way down
we
to
said
3?
Mickey organized breakfast, but what we meant was breakfast, lunch, and everything else.
Oh,
Because
wow.
it was quite a robust debate. Because obviously, like, you know, Carla Pretorius winning player of the tournament at the Netball World Cup, her name was obviously a name that we couldn't ignore. Thembi Kgatlana, somebody who scored South Africa's only goal at a FIFA Women's World Cup. It's definitely somebody who couldn't ignore, obviously, her journey from AFCON all the way there. And then Tatiana Schumacher winning the World Cup. Fina, well, you know, how she's done in 2018 all the way to 2019, obviously looking at the period. It was just, look, those names were just, you know, names that you couldn't ignore just for the achievement. So, but we did have to debate quite lengthy about, because there's a number of athletes who had to, you know, put on the back burner and be like, try again next season. It's not that you're not doing, it's just that someone else maybe have done something just slightly better than you did this season.
Yeah, I've intimately been involved in these awards for a number of years now, so I do understand that it's quite a process actually to get down to not only the winners on the evening that we saw last night, but also to just the 3 nominees. You mentioned something that's quite important, and that's the period, because these awards are actually judged according to a rule book, so you have to look at certain things. What is the period that you look at, and specifically for the Sports Star of the Year, what are the kind of things that you're looking for?
So for the period for Sports Star was definitely obviously they start in 2018, so it'd be September to September this year. So August to August. So that's the period we have to look at. So Tatiana Schumacher, her achievements that whole year, as mentioned, Carla Pretorius, obviously quite instrumental in guiding South Africa, the Proteas, to the semi-final loss against Australia at the Netball World Cup, which was heartbreaking. You know what was interesting about that match? I was doing that match. I was working on that game. Is the guys, in South Africa, a lot of people. You'd be shocked at how many people actually watch and support netball. But the guys at the crew and the sports guys who do all the rugby, they were preparing for South Africa playing against Australia at the Rugby Championship. Those guys, like your commentary team, your sideline, all those guys had their walkers and their DSTV Now apps, watching Carla Pretorius and the ladies, Wongim Sumi and them, trying to win that match against Australia. So it was one of those like, okay, we need to do twice against Australia today. It was quite an amazing one, just watching at Ellis Park, how a lot of people just gathered around, getting ready to watch the Springboks against the Wallabies, but watching these girls, just cheering them on. It was just definitely one of the best moments of my career, watching that.
Mervyn, I'm going to end off with you because in order for South African sport to move forward, we actually need more of a spirit of volunteerism. But it's really not the most glamorous thing to do, is it?
It depends. Personally, for me,
well, I mean, you can get an award once a
Sure,
year, right?
sure.
So that's pretty glamorous.
Personally, for me, I enjoy volunteering, and that comes through a deep realization for our community that needs tons of help, whether it from a sports angle, education angle, spiritual angle. We need to muster as many resources and forces without being constrained to help our communities. So yes, a consideration for the community, and obviously passion for sport.
Yeah.
I think those are the ingredients that makes a volunteer.
And you never know what kind of impact you're going to make on which child with what kind of talent.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so thank you very much to all of you guys that have been on our panel here this morning, and congratulations to our 2 award winners. Time now for us to take a break. Morning Live is back after this.